Hello and welcome to your lesson on the present perfect continuous and the present perfect simple. My name is Marianne. Okay, so we're going to start with some pictures. What can you see in the pictures? Hopefully you can see some examples of events that can happen in your life. These are some of the events that have happened in my life so far. So I went to primary school. I also did exams at school. I went to university. I met my best friend. I got married and had children. I also have a job and my home, or where I live, that's also something important in my life. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to think about the important events in your life so far. Can you discuss with a partner for a couple of minutes, or you can just think about it yourself and make a note in your notebook if you want to, of some ideas. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you've thought about some of the events in your life. So going back to the examples of the events in my life, can you think about the order of these events and write them on the timeline? Okay. So which event happened first? Which event is number 1? Which event is number 2? Which event is number 3, etc. You can just make a note in your notebooks again. Also, I'd like you to think about which of these events are still true for me now. Okay, so which happened in the past and which are still true for me now. Okay, you can work this out with a partner if you have one, or again, think about it alone and just make a note in your notebooks. You can stop the video if you need to for a couple of minutes. Okay. Okay, so this is the order of the events in my life. Number 1 was school. Number 2 was exams. Number 3 was university. Number 4, my best friend. Number 5, work. And number 6, home and family. Okay, and the events that are still true for me now are 4, 5, and 6. So I still have my best friend. I still have my job. And I still have my home and family. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to choose 5 or 6 important events that have happened in your life so far and make a timeline like this. Okay, so you can draw this in your notebooks and put the events in order, just like you did here. You can also use arrows, like I have done here, to indicate which events are still true for you now. Okay, again, you can stop the video to give yourself a few minutes to do this. Okay. Okay, so for the events that are true for me now, we can make 3 sentences. For my best friend, I can say, I have known my best friend for 25 years. For my work, I can say, I have been working at International House for 2 years. And for home and family, I can say, I have been living in Essex since 2020. Can you look at the verbs that have been underlined? Okay. What is different about the way the verbs are used in the sentences? Okay. In which sentences is the action of the verb stressed made to be important? Yes, made to be very important in the sentence. And which sentence is in the present perfect simple and which are in the present perfect continuous? Okay, so just think about these questions. Again, you can discuss them with a partner or just make a note of the answers in your notebook. Stop the video if you need to. Okay, so the answers. The first sentence, I have known my best friend for 25 years. This is in the present perfect simple because know is not an action verb, it's a state verb. Okay, it's a verb that indicates a state rather than an action. Other common state verbs in English include want, understand, love, hate, like is also another example. And we do not use the continuous form for state verbs because they are not actions. Okay, so I have been working at IH for 2 years. This is an example of the present perfect continuous. And also, I have been living in Essex since 2020 is another example of the present perfect continuous. And in these 2 sentences, the actions of working and living are stressed. Yes, they are made to be very important in those sentences. Let's look at some other examples of the present perfect simple and continuous. And we have some questions, okay, which I'd like you to discuss with a partner, or again, just think about the answers and make a note in your notebooks. So which tense, present simple, present perfect simple, or present perfect continuous, is used to indicate a result or something that is completed? And which tense, present perfect simple or present perfect continuous, is used to stress the duration of an action, so how long the action is? Okay, so look at the examples and think about the questions. Again, you can stop the video if you want to. Okay, and the answers. So the present perfect simple tense is used to indicate a result or something that is completed, whereas the present perfect continuous is used to stress the duration, yeah, how long an action is. So let's look at the form of the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous. Can you match the underlined words to their grammatical functions? We have the underlined words here and the grammatical functions below. Okay, again, you can make a note in your notebooks. Okay, here we have the answers. So we've got the auxiliary verb have in yellow. This is in the contracted form here. I've is the same as I have. And we also have in green the past participle of the main verb, which in this case is to write. Okay, so written is the past participle of write. And that's how we form the present perfect simple. The auxiliary verb have and the past participle of the main verb. Present perfect continuous is made with the auxiliary verb have again. And then in blue, we have the past participle of the verb to be, been. And then the main verb in the ing form. Okay, again, the main verb in this case is the verb write, so the ing form is writing. Okay. Okay, so now it's over to you. You're going to practice using the two different tenses. So I'd like you to complete the sentences either in the present perfect simple or in the present perfect continuous using the verbs in brackets at the end of the sentence. Okay. Again, you can do this with a partner if you want to, or just make a note of the answers in your notebook individually. Stop the video if you need to. Okay. So here we have the answers. The first one, my parents have had this car for 10 years. This is an example of the present perfect simple because the verb have is not an action verb, it's a state verb, so it's not used in the continuous form. The second sentence, we have been touring Scotland the last 2 weeks, is an example of the present perfect continuous. And here we have the action of touring, which is being stressed in this sentence. Okay. Number 3, we have another example of the present perfect continuous. Strong wind has been blowing all day. And here, the action of blowing is being stressed. And it's also the duration, yeah, how long the action has been going on is stressed. Okay. Number 4 is an example of the present perfect simple. This is because the verb to be is another example of a state verb. It's not an action, so we don't use it in the continuous form. And finally, number 5 is an example of the present perfect simple. And this is because we have something that has been completed. There is a result, which is the many books he has read on the subject. Okay. So finally, we have a speaking task. And I'd like you to look at the questions 1 to 7. Below here. And think about what the next question with how long would be. Okay, you're going to ask and answer the questions with a partner, or you can just practice saying the questions and the answers individually if you don't have a partner. Okay, we'll do an example together. So, number 1, the next question would be, how long have you been working or studying there? A possible answer could be, I have been working there for 2 years. Okay. So again, stop the video and take some time to think about the next question with how long, and then practice asking and answering with a partner or saying the questions and answers individually. Okay. Here we have some examples of answers. As we saw before, the next question with how long for number 1 would be, how long have you been working there? And the answer, I have been working there for 2 years. Okay, here we have the present perfect continuous, okay, which is used to stress the duration of the action. Okay. Number 2, we have another example of the present perfect continuous. Again, the duration of the action is stressed here, the action of living. Okay. Number 3, how long have you been doing it? Okay, I have been playing the harp for 10 years. Again, the action and duration of the action are stressed in this sentence. Number 4, how long have you had it? I have had it since last year. Here, we have an example of the present perfect simple because the verb have is a state verb. It's not an action verb and therefore not used in the continuous form. Okay, number 5, how long have you been running? For example, I have been running for about 2 years. Another example of the present perfect continuous where the action and duration of the action are stressed. And number 6, here we have an example of the present perfect simple because the verb know is a state verb and therefore not used in the continuous form. Number 7, another example of the present perfect continuous where the duration of the action is stressed. Okay, how long have you been learning it? I have been learning to dance for about 3 months. Okay. Okay, well, I hope that was useful. Thank you very much for listening. Take care and goodbye.